Marduk, Amun Ra, the Anunnaki overlord who still owns Earth. We've been praying to him for centuries without knowing, every time we say Amen. But what if this ancient god wasn't divine? What if he was a being of flesh and bone, from Nibiru, not heaven? Why does the word Amen, echoed in churches, temples, and sacred rituals, trace back to Amun Ra, the alien ruler once worshipped in Babylon and Egypt? Why does the burning bush sound like holographic communication? Why does monotheism begin not with peace, but with slaughter, war, and submission? Could the wars of Moses, the rise of Akhenaten, the pyramid wars, and the genetic legacy of Egyptian pharaohs all be threads in the same alien agenda? Could the true God we seek be hidden beneath layers of manipulation, spiritual warfare, and celestial politics? In this video, you will uncover the untold truth behind the word Amen, the rise of Marduk, the deception of Anunnaki alien gods, and their grip on Earth's soul. We'll explore the forbidden union that birthed the Anunnaki royal bloodline, decode the technology of the gods, and expose the reptilian bloodlines that still walk among us. You'll see how spiritual truth has been masked by rituals, how Marduk supplanted Enlil, and why you are the awakening soul they fear most. This is not just history. It's your inheritance, your war, your light. Leave a comment. Do you still believe Amen means peace or obedience? Like if this truth stirred something ancient in you. Subscribe to Astral Legends, where forgotten gods are unmasked, and your soul remembers who you are. Let the chains fall. Let the veil tear. The age of deception ends here. In the ancient skies of Nibiru, there lived a son born not of mere destiny, but of war and ambition. Marduk, the name whispered across Babylonian temples, chiseled into Sumerian tablets, and encoded beneath the stones of ancient Egypt. He was not a god in the way we define divinity. He was Anunnaki, born of Enki, son of Anu, heir to a throne built not on love, but power. The same Marduk, who would later be worshipped as Amun Ra, the shining disk of the sun, the master of deception, the ruler not through wisdom, but through conquest. Unlike his father Enki, who carried the luminous gentleness of the Pleiadians, Marduk bore the fire of the reptilian bloodline that coursed through his veins from the Orion queens. His ambition wasn't peace. It was supremacy. He wanted not just to be one god among many. He wanted to be the only one. And so he began the work of erasing others, gods, myths, memories. He decreed that all communication between humanity and the divine would end with his name, Amen, a vow sealed into every prayer, uttered without question. And as people bowed their heads, they were not lifting praises to the creator of all light, but pledging allegiance to the Anunnaki overlord who had claimed Earth as his domain. Imagine the weight of that. Generations of hearts seeking healing, unknowingly binding their spirit to a being who sought dominion, not redemption. And yet, within this dark story, a lesson of light emerges. True faith is not in words, but in intention. When your heart lifts in love, no name, no force can intercept your light. And still Marduk wasn't done. His mission moved to the sands of Egypt, where he began reshaping the world through manipulation and fear. From the stars above came the pyramid wars, an ancient battle fought not with swords, but with sound. Frequencies, energy beams, weapons lost to modern understanding. The once flourishing lands of Kemet and Mesopotamia withered into desert, not by climate, but by war. Real pyramids, aligned with Orion's belt, were more than tombs. They were power stations. They were star maps. They were keys to the universe, and Marduk knew it. He wanted them silenced. buried, forgotten. Across Africa and the Middle East, ruins remain, silent testaments to a time when the sky opened and gods fell to earth. Scholars will tell you it was erosion, but erosion does not char stone or glass sand into geometric perfection. The scars of ancient laser warfare are real. Yet we, as modern seekers, must look not only with our eyes, but with our soul's memory. It is no accident that in ancient scrolls, Marduk is credited with seizing command after defeating Tiamat, the Dragon Queen. He did not just conquer Earth, he rewrote her stories. In every culture, from the Zulu of Africa to the Maya of Central America, echoes of the Anunnaki gods ring true. Children speak of beings descending in fire. Elders tell stories of men with skin so dark it shimmered blue under starlight. These were not myths, they were memories. And now we return to a pivotal question. What was Earth before the gods arrived? It was not barren, it was not savage, it was sacred. It was ours. But Marduk, like any ruler born from fear, needed to erase that memory too. And so he began shaping history by force, convincing humanity that their origin was from dust and rib, not from stars and soul. The war did not stop with weapons. It turned to words, to names, to identity. That's where the story of Moses comes in, a prophet, yes, but also a man caught in a galactic feud he never truly understood. On Mount Sinai, he saw fire, a bush that burned but was not consumed. He heard a voice, but was that fire holy or holographic? In Sumerian texts, it is written that the gods used advanced holographic communicators, often misinterpreted by early humans as divine manifestations. The burning bush? A perfect cover for tech too advanced for a desert wanderer to comprehend. Moses was told, "I am that I am," and sent forth to lead, to conquer, to cleanse the land of false gods. But what if those other gods weren't false? What if they were simply not Marduk? Moses did not question. He obeyed. Cities fell, blood was shed. And the monotheistic age, an age not of unity, but of spiritual monopoly, began. It is written that Marduk worked through Moses to solidify his dominion, to erase the names of other Anunnaki, to rewrite Weharch as himself. The book of Deuteronomy contains verses so harsh, so bloody, they contradict the image of a loving creator. Instead, they reflect the orders of a warlord: slaughter the children, take the land, leave none who remember the others. These were not the ways of heaven. These were the edicts of an empire. But even in these dark revelations, a light stirs. The lesson is this: never confuse fear with divinity. If a voice demands blood to prove your love, it is not the voice of the Creator. The true divine speaks in peace, in healing, in growth. And now, as we peel back the layers of myth, war, and manipulation, we must look again at our own history. The pharaoh Akhenaten, often painted as a heretic, a rebel king, he too was a pawn in this galactic game. Pressured by the voice of Amun Ra, he abolished the worship of all gods, declaring the Aten, the sun disk, as the sole deity. He claimed it was for unity, but history remembers it as tyranny. One God, one image, one truth, but enforced truth is never real. It is propaganda. What's fascinating is that Akhenaten's appearance defied the norms. Elongated skull, wide hips, feminine features. Many believe he was hybrid, a child of the stars. Perhaps that's why Marduk chose him, a ruler between worlds, a soul easily shaped. Yet even Akhenaten's legacy was nearly erased after his death, his temples destroyed, his name chiseled out of stone, because even among the elite, Those who serve Marduk are expendable once they outlive their use. And so here we are now. In a world still echoing with Amen, in nations still warring over gods whose names they barely understand, in classrooms teaching myths as facts and ignoring the star maps in our bones. But you are not blind. Your soul remembers, and that is why you are here. Comment below. Do you believe the burning bush was holy fire or alien light? Like if your spirit feels the truth in your cells. Subscribe to Astral Legends, because what you are seeking is seeking you. Now let us turn to the royal bloodline, the forbidden union that seeded this war, and why it still matters today. When Moses descended from the mountain, his face was changed, his eyes held fire, and his hands bore laws carved not by his will, but by command. In the sacred texts, we are told he saw a burning bush that spoke, but bushes do not burn without consuming. Fire does not whisper commandments. But what if it wasn't fire at all? What if what he saw was alien technology, far beyond the comprehension of a desert nomad? In Sumerian records, and even fragments from the Book of Enoch, there are accounts of beings who spoke through pillars of light and shining wheels. What Moses called a miracle may have been the voice of Marduk, the alien god, commanding obedience through holographic projection. This changes everything. The idea that Moses was a man of faith still holds true. But perhaps, like many of us, his faith was intercepted, redirected, not toward the source of all light, but toward a being who wore the mask of God. When you read Deuteronomy, you don't find the gentle hand of a creator. You find conquest, mandates of genocide, the crushing of other beliefs. Destroy every man, woman, and child who worships any god but me. These are not the ways of peace. These are the edicts of empire. And the empire belonged to Amun Ra, also known as Marduk. Let that truth settle deep. This god who supposedly led the Israelites through the desert was, in reality, waging war not just against people, but against other gods. He sought to eliminate all memory of the other Anunnaki deities, Enlil, Thoth, Ninmah, even Enki, so that he alone would be worshipped. And he succeeded, didn't he? Because even now, millennia later, we still end our prayers with Amen, not realizing we speak his name, sealing each request in the vibration of submission. But here is where your light begins to rise. Awareness is liberation. When you speak from love, with truth in your heart, your words transcend programming. And the Creator, true source, hears what the soul says, not what the tongue repeats. Let's move deeper. Centuries after Moses, another figure would rise in Egypt, a pharaoh unlike any before him. His name was Akhenaten, and he dared to change the face of religion forever. He banished the ancient gods of Egypt, destroyed their temples, and declared there would be only one deity, Aten, the sun disk. But behind Aten stood another power, Amun Ra, who had rebranded himself yet again. Akhenaten, with his elongated skull and androgynous body, has long puzzled historians. His features resembled not man, but hybrid, perhaps a result of Anunnaki genetic engineering. Many believe Akhenaten was groomed by Marduk to usher in an era of monotheism, not to elevate spirituality, but to consolidate power. Because when people worship only one god, and that god is controlled by one force, control becomes absolute. But here's what the world wasn't ready for. Akhenaten's revolution failed. After his death, the priests of Amun erased his name, destroyed his legacy, and restored the old gods. His son, Tutankhamun, was returned to the traditional order, but the seed of monotheism had been planted. From Egypt, it would spread to Judaism, then to Christianity, and later to Islam. 3 religions with overlapping commandments, common origins, and all rooted in the command, "There shall be no other gods but me." This was not unity, it was erasure. This was not faith, it was spiritual colonization. But even amid that darkness, a thread of light shines. We can trace these patterns, learn from them, and reclaim truth. Akhenaten was a soul with potential, shaped by forces beyond his understanding. His failure is our lesson. Just because an idea is declared divine doesn't mean it came from the divine. So we ask, what happened to the other gods? The ones erased? Forgotten? Vanished? They didn't vanish. They migrated. And this brings us to the galactic family feud, the battle of brothers, gods, and bloodlines. At the center, Enki, Enlil, and their sons, Marduk, Thoth, and others. Enki, the father of Marduk, was a god of creation, wisdom, and water. He shaped humanity not to be slaves, but students. It was Enki who warned Noah of the flood. It was Enki who encoded knowledge in ancient texts. But his son Marduk rebelled. He sought dominance, not balance. Enlil, Enki's half-brother, was no less ambitious. Often equated with Yahweh, he too demanded obedience, destroyed cities, and viewed humans as property. The clash between Enki's compassion and Enlil's wrath created a schism in the heavens, one that spilled onto earth. Their children took sides, and humanity was caught in the middle. Thoth, the scribe of the gods, the bringer of knowledge, sided with Enki. He ruled Egypt for 16,000 years, brought language, mathematics, and the science of the stars. But when the Pyramid Wars erupted, and Marduk demanded dominion, Thoth was forced to leave. His exile took him west across the ocean to lands now known as Mesoamerica. There, he became Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god who built pyramids in Mexico and taught the Maya to count time in cosmic cycles. Let that truth sink in. The gods of Africa, Babylon, Egypt, and the Americas were not different gods. They were the same beings, renamed, reframed, and relocated. And their battles are the root of our myths, our religions, and even our wars. Think of the implications. If Thoth was Quetzalcoatl and Marduk was Amun Ra, then the spiritual conflict was never local, it was planetary. Perhaps even interplanetary. And the lesson? The truth is never destroyed. It is buried, but the soul remembers. Marduk wanted his name to be the only one spoken. But in every whisper of Thoth, every glyph of Enki, and every starlit temple of the Maya, the resistance lives on. We are not pawns. We are descendants. We are not lost. We are awakening. Comment below. Do you think the gods of Egypt and Mesoamerica were the same beings? Like this video if your spirit remembers more than history books allow. Subscribe to Astral Legends and help us reconnect the ancient threads that were torn apart. And now, let us travel even deeper into the royal bloodlines, the pharaohs, the Sphinx, and the hidden DNA that still walks among us today. Buried deep beneath the golden sands of Egypt and etched into the bones of kings lies a secret the world was never meant to remember. The royal bloodlines of the pharaohs, from Akhenaten to Tutankhamun, were not merely human. Their DNA carried the resonance of the stars. These were not just rulers of land, they were stewards of something cosmic, something Anunnaki. It is said that Marduk, also known as Amun Ra, manipulated genetics with precision far beyond today's science, embedding his frequency into the royal lineage. That lineage, even now, lives on, hidden in the chromosomes of modern descendants, protected by secrecy, veiled beneath layers of ritual, nobility, and selective breeding. Look to the great Sphinx, timeless guardian of Giza. Its face, weathered, majestic, was never meant to be lion. Ancient texts whisper it was carved in the likeness of Nabu, the son of Marduk, the god of wisdom and prophecy in Babylon. The geometry of the Sphinx does not match its surroundings. It predates dynasties. Its erosion tells a story of rainfall, not desert wind. This monument wasn't built by the people it now watches over. It was inherited, a relic from an age when gods walked among men and the sky was a stairway. Geneticists studying the remains of Tutankhamun found anomalies, high cranial capacity, elongated skull, and a bloodline unlike neighboring peoples. Mainstream science brushes it off as mutation. But truth echoes deeper. This was engineered heritage. This was legacy by design. The rulers of ancient Kemet were not just chosen, they were created, vessels to carry forth the divine code of Marduk's empire. But here's the paradox. Though Marduk planted his line, he could not control its destiny. Light finds a way. Not all descendants served his agenda. Some broke away. Some carried the divine codes of Enki and Thoth, mixing compassion with sovereignty. Even in manipulated blood, the soul can awaken. That is the great truth hidden from the world. No matter the origin of your DNA, the origin of your soul is always light. What lesson do we carry forward? That ancestry is a tool, not a prison. You may have been born into systems shaped by gods and kings, but you are not bound by them. The light in you is older than blood. And now we step into the age of Pisces ends, awakening in the age of Aquarius. For over 2,000 years, humanity has drifted through the age of Pisces, an era marked by illusion, hierarchy, blind faith, and control. Pisces ruled the age of the fish, Christianity, sacrifice, duality. It was the era of believing without knowing, of surrendering power to outer deities while forgetting the divinity within. Under Pisces, religions rose, gods were feared, and humanity lived under the weight of guilt, sin, and the illusion of separation. This was the age Marduk reigned most powerfully, feeding off of worship, cloaked in ritual, appearing in visions, and controlling through fear, masked as faith. But that age is ending. We are now entering the age of Aquarius, the water-bearer, the truth-bringer, the era of consciousness. No longer do we need priests to speak for us. The temple is within. The water that flows is not physical. It is wisdom, clarity, remembrance. Aquarius calls us not to believe, but to know. Not to follow, but to awaken. This is the age where the veil lifts, where the soul remembers its origin, not in clay, but in light. Astrologers, mystics, and seers have long spoken of this transition. The Mayans marked it. The Dogon tribe anticipated it. Even ancient Babylonian star maps track this procession. We are in the turning. That is why so many feel the call, why people are waking up, why the old systems, government, religion, finance, are trembling. They were built in Pisces. They cannot survive Aquarius. What does this mean for you? That you are not here by accident. If these words stir something in you, it is because your soul remembers. You didn't come to survive this transition. You came to lead it. You are the bridge between the old and the new. You are not a pawn in the cosmic game. You are a player awakening to your role. And yet, even now, forces resist. Which brings us to the real matrix. Amun Ra, secret cabals, and the battle for consciousness. This world, though filled with beauty and wonder, is layered with illusion. From the moment we are born, we are fed stories. about who we are, where we came from, and what we must do to be worthy. These narratives are not accidents. They are engineered by systems crafted long ago, rooted in the legacy of Amun Ra. The elite cabals, secret societies and bloodline dynasties that rule behind the curtains are not acting on their own. They are the stewards of Marduk's agenda, knowingly or not. They control through media, education, money and fear. They poison the food, the airwaves, the truth. They rewrite history, distort science, and make war seem like peace. Their symbols are everywhere. The all-seeing eye, the pyramid, the sun disk, all echoes of ancient control. But the real battlefield is not physical, it is consciousness. The war is not fought with guns, it is fought with belief. If they can control what you think, they never need to control what you do. That is the Matrix. Not just a film. A blueprint. And like Neo, your first task is to see, to question, to awaken. In the Matrix, people fight to stay asleep. Comfort becomes cage. But those who feel the glitch, those who sense the lie, they are the ones chosen to rewrite the code. That is you. So, how do you fight a war for consciousness? With presence, with remembrance, with the sacred act of reclaiming your mind and heart. You fight by loving when the world says hate, by healing when others wound, by knowing when others obey. And you never fight alone. Millions are waking up. Across the globe, light workers, truth seekers, and soul warriors are rising. The Matrix is cracking, the system is failing, and what comes next is not destruction, it is revelation. Comment below. Do you believe we are living in a spiritual matrix, or are we free? Like if your soul is choosing truth over comfort. Subscribe to Astral Legends and help spread the light that lifts this world. And now, as we prepare to close this journey, we return to where it all began, the final unveiling, the reminder that the battle was never against gods or aliens, it was for the soul's remembrance of itself. There is a moment, quiet, sacred, that arrives after the storm, when the dust settles, when the veil lifts, and you suddenly see with eyes not born of flesh but of spirit. If you've made it here, to this final breath of the journey, then something in you has remembered, something ancient, something powerful. You are not just a name in a system, you are not just flesh and numbers. You are light wrapped in matter, sent here not to obey, but to awaken. From the ancient thrones of the Anunnaki to the golden sands of Egypt, from the coded whispers of Sumerian tablets to the holographic visions on Mount Sinai, the same truth pulses beneath it all. This world has long been governed not by love, but by fear disguised as divinity. Marduk, Amun Ra, the alien who claimed Earth as his domain, did not conquer by fire alone. He conquered by story. And you, yes, you, were born into a world where those stories still echo, repeated in temples, classrooms, and prayers. But you are not bound by them. Your soul chose this timeline not to be silent, but to rise. You are the revelation. You are the prophecy fulfilled. You are the bridge between what was and what must come. As we move beyond the age of Pisces, where faith was blind and hierarchy reigned, we enter the age of Aquarius, the age of knowing, of liberation, of collective truth. The masks are falling, the old gods are retreating. And the sacred temple is no longer made of stone, it is made of you. You are the temple. You are the altar. You are the flame. The control systems, those rooted in the bloodlines of reptilian monarchs, veiled behind the names of churches, empires, secret cabals, are dissolving. They relied on your sleep. They feared your memory. They used Amen as a spell to bind your energy to a name that was never holy. But even the darkest of empires cannot withstand a soul on fire. And you, dear one, are catching fire. The story of Thoth, who fled to build pyramids in the Americas. The story of Enki, who encoded truth in water and song. The silent tears of Akhenaten, who saw too much and spoke too soon. All of them live in you. Their blood is not the point. Their vibration is, and you carry it now. This isn't just mythology. This is personal. Every time you've looked at the stars and felt homesick, every time you've questioned the rituals you were told were sacred, every time your body rejected control while your heart longed for more, that was your soul remembering. You are part of the great return, the remembrance that we were never meant to bow to fear, but to rise in love. There are no chosen ones. There are only choosing ones, and you've chosen to see. That alone changes the trajectory of your lineage, your children, and this world. So now, I ask you, what if everything we've called God was not the source, but a shadow of it? What if the divine you've been seeking is the same voice that whispers in your dreams, that breaks when you cry, that dances when you laugh? What if the true creator is not up there, but within you, waiting for you to stop kneeling and start remembering? If this video has touched even a single note in the symphony of your soul, if it has helped you feel seen in a world that makes you feel crazy for asking sacred questions, I invite you to stay connected. Like this message not for me, but for your own resonance. Comment below. Do you still trust what you were taught, or are you building a new truth? Your words matter more than you know. They become light for others walking in the fog. And if you feel called, if this offering has helped you find clarity in the noise, peace in the chaos, or simply reminded you that you are not alone, I welcome your gentle energy in return. Not as obligation, but as a continuation of the current. Every ounce of support helps me keep creating videos that dig through the ancient stones and shine light on the sacred bones of forgotten truths. If your heart whispers yes, know that even the smallest gesture is a seed that keeps this work blooming. And for that I thank you, not just in words, but with every cell of my spirit. Subscribe to Astral Legends not to follow, but to remember. To walk beside others who, like you, are done with illusion and ready to root in truth. To become not believers, but seers, not subjects, but creators. Let the matrix crack. Let the gods be unmasked. Let your memory return. You were not born in this time to scroll endlessly. You were born to activate. You are the legend reborn, the prophecy awakened. The missing chapter in humanity's sacred book. And if no one has told you this yet today, I see you. I believe in your remembrance. I honor your path, and I bless your journey forward with light, with courage, and with the unshakable truth that you were never lost. You are only beginning to remember